Hi everyone, it's Dina Proctor. I'm a life coach, creator of 3x3 meditation, and author of the best-selling book, Madly Chasing Peace, How I Went from Hell to Happy in 9 Minutes a Day. And I want to share with you today about developing and living in your healthiest body, whether it means shedding weight, whether it means achieving a healing in the body, whatever it would be for you to bring you into optimum health. And just as a disclaimer, I'm not obviously a doctor or nutritionist. I'm not trained in any kind of medical profession, but I do know a thing or two from my own experience about getting my mindset right, and from there being able to achieve body healings and ultimate health in myself. So the first thing to remember is that anything in our physical world, and this is basic kind of understanding of law of attraction and really living a spiritual life, is that when we want to change something on the physical plane, whether it's our body or our relationships or our financial situation, it's all about getting in tune with what we want to create, getting our mindset in alignment, our confidence, getting in touch with our intuitive guidance. And once we do that, we can then affect change in the outside world. I learned the hard way that it is definitely not the best way to go about it to try and only work on the physical plane and manipulate outcomes and going on diets, especially for body. That's what I did for so long. Was I was on different kind of diets, up and down and yo-yo and gain a few and lose a few. And nothing really worked and was sustainable for me until I understood that my body was born with a blueprint for optimum health. And when I touch into that, and that's what I do in my meditations, in my 3 minutes, 3 times a day, when I'm focused on creating my healthiest body, it's about tuning into that and uncovering the message, the intuitive guidance that's coming from that wisdom, my body's wisdom. It makes sense to me that when my body is hungry and it's calling for something to eat, it must know what it's hungry for. And, I was able to release compulsive cravings, kind of addictive food cravings, realizing that you've probably had this experience that you could eat probably 4 times the amount of your daily calories in one sitting of just eating junk food and still, even after that binge, feel hungry inside. What is that about? You've obviously over-satisfied your caloric intake that you needed. You're not starving, but there's still a restlessness inside. It's like that just wasn't satisfying. It's not what my body was calling for. And so my priority is to use the meditations to get in touch with, I bet that there's a higher intelligence operating here. I bet that the cells of my body are probably calling for certain foods, and I've just never acknowledged it. I've never tuned into it. I've never listened to that. So there's a number of different ways, that you can go about it. Developing an intuitive eating practice, getting in touch in your meditations with opening the door to recognize and to realize the voice of what your cells are calling for. It could be just uncovering what that blueprint of optimum health might be. I know for me, when I got in touch with the I call it a blueprint, because I think of it as the plans as it was designed. We don't have to follow the plans, but if we do, it will be, the plans were designed by that higher intelligence, the creative energy that creates worlds, that designed our body. I don't have the intelligence to design a human body. I just happen to inhabit one, right? So I'm touching into the creative intelligence that designed my body, that really designed the way the whole world kind of works. And when I do that and I get in touch with what the cells of my body are calling for in my meditation and then during my eating practice, understanding that if I acknowledge and recognize and then fulfill what my body cells are calling for, it's an extremely satisfying, satiating experience. I don't leave after lunch and think, gosh, I ate what I should have. I used willpower to power my way through, and I was good when I, kind of ate that way. And then I end up setting myself up for deprivation or a reward. That's what I used to do. It's like, oh, okay, I was so good today, or I was so good this week, and now I'm gonna make it up and binge on something. Or poor me, it's been so hard to be so good for so long, and I need to soothe that emotion, and that's when I would overeat. But when I'm in tune with and acknowledging what the cells of my body are calling for and eating in that way, It's a really deeply satisfying, satiating way to eat. And the cravings just aren't there anymore. The cells called for something, I answered it. They're quiet. They've been satiated. They've been satisfied. So all of this starts with the mindset first. It's about getting into the openness and willingness to connect with that inner intelligence, that voice of intuition, that intuitive guidance from the power greater than ourselves, really, the creative intelligence that designed our bodies, and acknowledging that. And when we do that, it's much different than using our minds to calculate, oh, that's a good food or that's a bad food. Our body already knows what it is most calling for, what it is most needing in that moment. When we can learn to tune into that and acknowledge it, it becomes a much more satisfying and really kind of easier way to live. So for most people, if you haven't done this before, I would recommend getting in touch with, a coach or a mentor or a doctor or somebody that you trust that might be able to guide you into being able to do this. Because at first it's not easy. It's not the easiest thing to determine the difference between what your body cells are calling for and maybe a craving. With practice, it'll come, and of course, with touching base with a mentor or somebody that you trust to walk you through this, it will come as well. So thank you so much for listening in. I hope this was valuable for you, and I look forward to sharing more with you again soon. Thank you.